Okay, welcome. Thank you very much for having me here. I'm inventor Dan Zen, and we're going to do some live coding on the canvas. The canvas is an HTML5 tag, and we're bringing in Create.js right here. Create.js gives us the ability to organize on the canvas in a hierarchy. Much like you've got on traditional development side, you've got a document object model, the DOM. Well, on the canvas, we work with a bitmap. It's a live bitmap in a sense, so we've got a bitmap object model, the BOM. Ooh. So we worked on the BOM. Create.js gives us that in events. This is ZIM, so we're bringing in ZIM as well. That provides a bunch of conveniences, components, and controls on the canvas. And we'll be seeing some of those. ZIM's a framework. Here's the frame. And we are using a fit mode right now, which will make these dimensions, a canvas of these dimensions, fit within the browser window. If you want to go mobile, you probably want a full mode, and that would make all use of your screen there, but you would then have to do scaling yourself inside, using things like the ZIM layout class, which does responsive design and scale to and other things we do. So we're making a new frame. Create.js gives us an on method that's much like the add event listener in traditional JavaScript. Well, this is JavaScript, just extra stuff. So the on method is shorter than add event listener, that's nice, and it has a couple extra goodies. So we're saying, hey, when the frame is ready, when it's made that canvas, we're going to call this function and do all of this stuff here. We are zogging, and that's a short form. Speaking of short forms, that's a short form for document.getElement. No, not document.getElement. Console.log. So instead of console.log all the time, we zog. It's a little bit more fun. So that will log out to the console. Frame gives us a stage. The stage is where we put all of our things that we're making. And you can see at the bottom as well, we've got an update of the stage, stage.update. And that allows us to build things and put them on the stage, and then when we want that to be seen, we update it, and that saves battery power and stuff. So this is ready and made for mobile in that way. We get the stage, we've got a width, we're setting a couple colors, and here we are in the code. Okay, so now we're going to have to start typing and look over there. So let me see how this is going to work. Hang on. Okay, I might not be quite as loud because I'll have to move back a little bit. We'll make a new circle. And we can also make this a bit bigger for you as well so you can see that a bit easier. A new circle. We'll give it a radius of 100 and a color of frame.pink, for instance. Like that, and we'll center that on the stage, and we'll drag it. So there's a couple ways we can put things on the stage. One way is to center it, and that's kind of nice. And when we chain like that, that's called chaining. When we chain like that, I'll often drop it onto the next line, like so. So for chaining to work, drag needs to be put on the object. The object is our circle. So if drag needs to be put on the object, then that means center needs to return the object. So center is already put on the object, as you can see, but to chain our methods all the way along, the methods return another. And ZIM is almost fully chainable. So that's how we'll be doing it. We save that, and we do it in a browser. Right click, open in browser. And there we have a pink circle on the stage that we can drag around. There's other ways to add to the stage as well. You could just say add to, and that will add it to the stage. So let's see that. Refresh there, and that adds it at 0, 0. So that's 0, 0 up there in the corner. It just adds it. If you want to position it in certain places, you can close, and then tell it, say 200, 200, and on the stage. Stage. You can spell it, you can do it. So we save that, and now it will position it at position 200, 200, like so. And you might be wondering, well, how do we know that's 200, 200? If we want, we can add a grid, so a new grid, like so. And we save that up. Semicolon there. Save that up and take a look. And that gives us a grid that we can sort of see what's going on. That's percentage, but if we hit the P key and sort of roll right to the center of that circle, you can see that's 200, 200. But I just want to center right now, so we'll go back to centering. Center. There's also a way to position with what's called place. So you can run place on this, you can drag it to a certain place, and the console will tell you where you put it. So that's a nice, easy way as well. But I just want it centered, and let's take a look at a rectangle as well. How are you doing? Can you see that okay? Or do you want it bigger still? You sure? It's okay? All right. So instead of a circle this time, we will make a rectangle. Rectangle. And we will make that, say, 200 by 200. We'll make it framed up blue. Oh, these are just colors that are stored on the frame. They're ZIM colors, so they turn out, you know, keeping consistent. You could put any HTML color there that you want, or, you know, hex numbers, etc. So there's a blue one. Now, if they're all centered on the stage, they'll end up in the same place. So we can use the move, or MOV method. This is a chainable method to do relative movement. And we'll move them 200, which you're probably saying that's the same place again, but we'll just change that to a minus. So we move the circle over to minus 200 and move the rectangle over to 200. And let's see what we've got now. Did I make an error? Dot. I forgot the dots. The little dots. Good. Thank you. 2 dots. So we save that up. I'm glad you're awake. I was testing it. Okay, let's get rid of this grid too. So we'll just comment out that grid. And I think we saw them there. We'll come back. So now we've got a rectangle and a circle, right, on the stage. Just a bit more about these shapes. They have these things called registration points, and that's where they get placed. So what we'll do is after we move them, we will dot line them. We will outline them, like so. And that will give us, during authoring, it gives us tips as to what's going on here. So we can see there, let's just make that bigger for you. We can see the round circle is the registration point. This is the bounding box here. And the registration point for the circle's in the center, where the bounding or the registration point is at the top left for a rectangle. And indeed for any pictures that you bring in and most rectangular things like that. So that's where things get positioned. It's also where things will rotate about and where things will scale about. So we can show you that by going dot rot for rotation, and we'll rotate 45 degrees. So we save that up, and we come back here, and you can see that it's rotated around the registration point. So if we're animating a rectangle, it's sort of important to know where the registration point is, so it doesn't look like a pinwheel when you didn't want that. It also scales from that, so let's just quickly check scale. Again, we're using our short little chainable methods here. SCA is one for scale. It's kind of neat. I don't like using SCA for command. And we won't scale at 45. That would be much too big, so we'll just scale it twice as big here. We come back, and there you can see that scale is scale from the registration point. So it might be good if we know how to set a registration point. We can use reg, or we can just say center reg. So now the rectangle will have its registration point centered and added to the stage in the center of the stage. So we save that up and refresh here. And you can see that the scale is coming out from the center there. Sorry, I had to leave you guys. Okay, so let's go back, take a look. How about we will take off the the scale and the outline of these guys. We'll keep the diagonal, those. And we'll bring in a blob. Shall we do a blob? So a blob is another shape. Give me a new blob. It's kind of fun. And we will dot center that on the stage. If we're going to center that, let's see, we might want to move this over just a little bit to give room for that blob. And 1 second. 250, 250. It's probably good. And let's check out what a blob does. So there it is. It gets these Bezier points that are like that, and you can move them and make shapes and stuff. Now the Bezier points, if you double click on them, they change the type. So oops, they change the type. On mobile, those are bigger too, so you can grab them. But these work independently, you see that? And if I double click again, they disappear. So I'll double click twice, and that gives us points like this, which allows us to also make polygons and things. If we double click this again, then it goes to an equal Bezier point where both of them work like that. And one more time, double click, and you get an individual Bezier point like so. We can animate these Bezier points. We can animate them and do things like blob light shows and stuff. So I've been successful with light shows animating the points. We can also record the points, and then you can take what you've recorded, it shows it in the console. You can take what you've recorded and pass them in as a parameter. So you can pre-make Bezier points, and you can hide the controls if you want. So it's pretty handy. Let's go in and take a look at something else here. It's called transform. So right now we don't need to drag. No, we don't need to. Yeah, okay. So here we'll transform, both instead of drag, transform. There's also gesture. Gesture allows you to pinch and zoom and rotate, like your gestures for mobile. So if you just say dot gesture, you get all that on your objects that you're making. Here's what transform does. We save that up and refresh here. It gives us, do we still have the outlines going on those? Okay, let's do that. And was there another outline hanging around? No, okay, so just on the circle. So now we're transforming. We'll come in and take a look. It gives us transformation tools, which allow us to scale things and resize like so. Get them on this one, etc. So the transforms are cool because it allows people to make things from these shapes. For the blob, we don't really need it because it gets its own Bezier points. And then there's this thing called a transform manager. So underneath here, we'll make a transform manager. New transform manager. And we need to pass to that each of the objects that we're wanting to manage. So we need references to var circle is equal to. One nice thing about chaining is you don't have to make these bars often, but this time we don't need to reference it for later, so we need references. Call that one rect is equal to, and how about this one will be blob is equal to, with a bar. There we go. Now we can add these things into the transform manager in an array. So that was circle, comma, rect. And what was the other one? Blob. Here we go. The transform manager will let us do one transformation at a time, so it organizes that. And it also has this thing called persist. So we'll dot persist onto that. Persist. And we passed in an ID. How about dev to? Nice. Okay, so any guesses as to what this will do? So we save it here. And now let's see, we'll make this a little bit bigger. Like that, we'll make some art. So here's the user making some art. Ooh, some green banana art. And there's you guys looking at that art. And now we refresh, or we even close down the browser. And open in browser. Open in browser. And there it is saved. So it remembers what they built in a fairly simple way. Okay, let's get rid of this transform stuff and our rect, and we'll go back to the circle that was centered. change that back to a drag. And we won't bother moving it. Now we only have one thing. Instead, we will animate the circle. The first parameter of animate is the properties that you want to animate stored in an object. So we make an object literal like that, and we say, oh, I want to animate the scale to, say, twice as big. The second parameter of animate is the time. So how about in a second? And now we're changing on animate to that. Let me refresh here. And there, that might be nice to kind of rewind that, yeah. So let's rewind that. To rewind, unfortunately, rewind is about the 10th parameter. And we have to go comma null, comma null, comma null, you know, past the easing type and past the weight and the callback functions and stuff. So in ZIMduo, that's ZIM2, we're in ZIM6 now, and in ZIM6 really. Back in ZIMduo, we introduced the ZIMduo technique. And that allows us to pass in parameters individually in order, like this, or to pass in a single configuration object with the property names matching the parameter names. So we should turn to that right now. Let's turn this into a single configuration object, which is just an object literal. We'll drop these down onto the next line here, and this one's called obj. The next parameter, if you look in the docs, it's called time. And then we wanted to add, what was it, rewind. So comma, rewind, colon, true. So now the order doesn't matter. We can go directly to any parameter that we want, and we save that up. Now we refresh here. It gets bigger, and it gets smaller. Good. And how about looping? So, any guesses? Colon true. Let's see if that works. And we refresh here. That's good. Okay, so we could also animate more than one property. For instance, we could animate its x position as well, so something like 800. And we could do relative animation by putting quote 100 and then move 200 from where it is. That kind of thing. I've been doing animation for a long time, back in the green sock day, you know, etc. This animation system is really nice. It's very powerful. It's got everything you need. It's way easier to read than say CSS animations, for instance. So we will go to 800 and we'll save that, and we refresh here. And now it animates over to 800. But we're still dragging this. And watch what happens when we drag it. It stops animating. And that's on purpose. If we didn't do that, it would try and drag as well as keep on animating so that out of position and it looks jiggly, jiggly, jiggly. So to help out people who are beginning, we automatically stopped. But if you don't want to stop, you can just say remove tweens, colon false, like that. And then it will not remove the tweens. However, I'm going to get rid of the x because I need to move that. So here we have it scaling up and down forever, and our drag will still let it scale up and down. So as you drag it down, you can see that's still operating. All right, let's comment out the animation and the center and the drag. Everybody okay? Yeah, you sure? Hey, there's no way to dim the lights up in the front here? Or, I mean, I don't care too much as long as you can see all right. Okay, so we'll continue on. So we're commenting out that stuff. So all we've got is a circle, and what we're going to do is we're going to make a tile. So var tile, well, we don't have to var it, but we might need it later. Var tile is equal to a new tile. Circle in as the object that we're going to tile. Let's make it so we can put some more of them. We'll make that a bit smaller. The circle has a third parameter there of gray. This is the outline of it, so we'll make the outline of gray. And we will also, the next one would be how big that is, how big the outline is, and how, if it's dashed or not. So it's gray. We come on into the tile, and we go comma 8 of them, say, and 5 of them like that. And we would add that tile to the stage, so we'll center it on the stage. So, and refresh here and see what we've got. There's a bunch of circles. Now, what we'll do is we'll take that animation from here, copy the animation down onto the tile. And that will animate the tile. It will look a little bit ugly because it's going to animate it on from the top left corner there, but you know how to fix that, right? We just center reg, like so. And if we center reg, it will do the animation from the middle. But that's not really what I want to do. I don't want to animate the whole tile. I want to animate each thing inside the tile in a sequence, say with 100 milliseconds in between. So we go sequence, colon 100, and let's see what happens now. We refresh, and there she goes in sequence. Okay, a little bit more about the conveniences of the tile itself is a container. It extends a container. We can do lots of things with the container. If we put an event on the container, for instance, tile.on, click, we can capture an event function. So it will do this function when we click, and in there we'll capture the event object. That's e.target, for instance. It's information about the click. E.target, for instance. I can do it. Target. Dot alpha is equal to 0.2 or something. And we would have to update the stage after this. So here's a stage update, like so. That will mean whatever was clicked on, the specific thing in the container that was clicked on, will have its alpha set down, like so. We might want to show that we can click on something there by adding a dot cur, which brings in a cursor. Any CSS cursor can go in those brackets by default, we can pointer. That's great, so we save that up, you can see that we have a cursor there as well. Okay, so that's convenient. There's another thing called current target, so e.current target, current, this is much like JavaScript. Current target, with capital T, would operate on the whole thing. So rather than the thing you clicked on, it's the whole container now that it's operating on. What do you think would happen if we just drag this thing? So for instance, if we go up here and say tile.drag. Oops. Let's see. So we refresh here, and it picks up one of the tiles. Oh, there's our click. I think we could have turned that one off. So it picks up what was clicked on, and that's handy. We could make a container of 100 monsters or 1,000 monsters and just drag them around by just saying, hey, drag on that container. Now note that they go on top of one another when we pick them up. So if we want, we could say drag colon on top colon false, and they won't. There's a whole bunch of parameters with drag as well, and you can also make it drag the current target if you so desire. Now it's not dragging on top. There's a thing called ZIM loop, so let's loop through the container, and that looks like tile.loop. And in there we get a function, and inside the round brackets of the function we get the object in the container, like we get every object in the container, so the children of the container. We'll call that circle because that's what they are. And we also get the I, so the iterator like that. And then here's our function. And we can do things in here. We can say circle dot radius, for instance, is equal to rand, how about 5 to 10 to 50. So little brackets there, 10 to 50. Now this is one of the conveniences of ZIM. There's a bunch of functions that are available, such as random, we use over and over again, and now we get random radius, as you can see there. We can make an array, for instance, so bar circles is equal to frame.pink, frame.green, Zim dot, what other blue, how about, okay? And so there's an array, and what we're going to do is we're going to use the I to get the element of the array. So in here, we're just saying circle dot color is equal to the array, which is colors, at I, but when we're looping through that, we have to use the modules. So colors dot length. And if you don't know what that is doing, then don't worry too much about it. But now what we're doing is getting a bunch of random colors. Or no, we're getting colors in order. And there we are. Oh, a little break. Hey, did you see what it was? What? What's the array name? Oh, it's colors is, it's circle. Okay, colors. Right, okay, that should work out all right, I think. And we refresh there, and there's a bunch of random colors. Well spotted, guys, A+. Now, if we wanted random colors, we could use another thing called shuffle. Shuffle, and in here we'll shuffle our colors, and we'll grab the first one. So these are these conveniences we were talking about. So now it's got random colors going on. And you may look at the conveniences and say, hey, wait a minute, what if we already have a rand out there in the world or a shuffle out there in the world? Well, Zim has namespaces, so we can say Zim dot. And on anything that is Zim, we say Zim dot like that. And here's where we made a tile, so we would say new Zim dot tile, etc. Now those still get made as global functions, but if we come up to the very top here, there's the Zim namespace. It's now set to false, which means we don't need them. But if we say true there, that's all we have to do. And we don't make global functions for classes. It all uses the Zim namespace. So that's a taste of Zim. Now, all it's done is really shown you the care that we put into some of the basics of what we're doing. And these have been built on things like Create.js, which are wonderful people doing a lot for the interactive media world for free, only for your applause and likes and stuff like that. Same with me and all the people that are using Zim. What I'd like to do is show you just a 2-minute video that takes you through some of the components and controls of Zim. Things like components are buttons, dials, sliders, color pickers, that kind of stuff. The controls are things like a layout class that gives us responsive design on the canvas, accessibility, which gives us full accessibility on all of our components on the canvas. Things like particle emitters, sound wave, so all these fun things, parallax, etc. So take a look at the video. Now what I'd like to do afterwards, if we could just sort of honor with a nice big round of applause after the video, all the people that have been working on this, that would be wonderful. Does that sound good? Give me a cool nod if that sounds all right. Yeah, okay, that's the first step. Hey, what if you want to stretch a little bit, and as you clap, maybe you can stand up. That would be cool. Yeah, a standing ovation for these people would be pretty amazing. And it wouldn't do you any harm, and it would make us all feel so good. And then what I'll do is I'll edit this part out of the talk, right? And it'll look like you guys gave us a standing ovation. Okay. Anyway, let me go find that video for you. Okay, it's 2 minutes. So are y'all ready? I'll just reduce it and use that.
JavaScript canvas framework. We're going to show you some examples of Zim, and Zim can be found at ZIMjs.com. Let's go to the site now, ZIMjs.com, and press examples. And we'll take a look at the fourth one there, Space Guy. Ooh, there it is. And note that he moves around, so it's all is right. And shoot. And then we can add some text. Like that. Yes, that is good. And make that else. Oh yeah. All that kind of stuff. They're soup working with physics. Oh, we don't need phosphorus. Now I'm triangles that are based on colors. show you how far away something is. So you can place the guide, how wide is this content? And the context is what's up above the node, so we can swipe that. We have all the ZIM circle. No, we don't. Now we have all this blue. Oh, ZIM.blue. Have this thing called an error. Really love do that. That's what my RP is going to be like. Same speed. Oh, no. And we're spitting out all these particles and then they're curving in them. Ooh, isn't that pretty? So atomic like with code. And as we mentioned, when we get back to the ornament, then what you can do is adjust the sliders that we're making. We make a blue with a blob behind. Like prime one way, yeah, got it. I flick these things up and go twang, clue, like so. And we can also start making and so we're scrolling, and you can animate. So there's animation based on the scroll right there. So a checkbox here that opened up some radio buttons, and we can drag that and hit. We're testing that you wrap them, and then we can deliver. Guide me to places. So if we're over here and we want to go, here we go. Do you recognize this? Do you remember these? And this could be any maze. This could be your maze, or you could let the user just open them all up. So you're welcome to look through some of the examples that we were showing the others and have fun with this little mini site here, the ZIM examples. ZIM examples. And that's ZIMjs.com. I am Dr. Abstract. Have a great day or night.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Do we have some time for questions?
Yeah, questions.
Okay. I didn't think there'd be time for questions. Have you worked on the canvas before? Okay, hey, go talk to yourselves. Talk among yourselves. Come up with a question, okay? Talk to each other. Find a question. Half a second. Oh, you got one?
Somebody made a HTML5 what you see, what you get framework.
In editor, okay.
With this ZIMjs?
Yeah. Nobody has. We're missing the WYSIWYG part, right? You know, the stuff that Flash used to have where you can move things about. You can tell that we're pretty close there. We've got shapes, and those transforms work on components. So we can drop components on there and transform them. We're so close to that, aren't we, having a WYSIWYG? I kind of almost don't want to do it. You know, it's a big endeavor, and I love code. So I almost want to just keep it code and give you as much as we can in code alone, but make it easy for designers to come in and artists and stuff to use code rather than try and get mixed up with these WYSIWYG editors like we did in Flash. So it's a bit of a philosophy struggle there.
So I was going to get the code there.
Yeah, well, you know, there we go. So any other thoughts? Did you like it? Yeah? Okay, good. Do you think you could do it? You know, I'm really hoping that people who are just starting to learn code will come in and see this. And we've given our documentation, and we get 5 out of 5 reviews on documentation the whole way. There's all sorts of tutorials available, as well as the philosophy of code.
Kids would love this as an introduction.
I think so as well. It's very colorful. I find everybody loves it. I teach at Sheridan Interactive Media there, but we also teach in the programmers. And heck, they just went through 2 years without even seeing anything but the console. It's like, okay, maybe we could learn something with a bit more visual punch for them and blow up asteroids. So, you know, why not? That's it. Blow up asteroids. That's how it ends. Thank you again. Ciao.